Hey, what's going on, Archons? Welcome to another Key Thoughts, or should I say, Curse Thoughts. Yes, that's right. I have been thinking a lot lately about a very specific cursed card. This curse card. It is the Curse of Spontaneity. Even though it's a rare, I've managed to get it in a few decks so far that I've played in Grim Reminders, and I want to talk about it. I don't think this is a good curse. When I say I don't think this is a good curse, I mean this from the context of giving this to your opponent and allowing them to have it. Now, so far my perspective playing this is coming strictly on the basis that I'm playing in set Grim Reminders versus Grim Reminders. I think this card may actually hold a little more value when you're playing against other sets, but for right now, before we go into that, let's just talk about this card as a Grim Reminders versus Grim Reminders card. So what Curse of Spontaneity does is it's treachery, which means it's an artifact curse that enters play under your opponent's control, and then at the start of your draw card step, discard your hand. So it basically means is that there is no handcrafting. That's what this card says. You get rid of all the extra cards in your hand after you've played your turn out, and then you draw a full 6 or 7 cards, whatever happens to be your draw amount is. Now, how I've been playing Grim Reminders lately is actually through the Goldfish method, which I'm going to tell, I've said before and I will say again, is I think the only way I want to discover new sets is playing my decks against themselves from my perspective. So couple things about this. One is I get to see more decks at the same time. I get to see how things interact based on my decision making, because there's a very difference between playing your Keyforge deck versus yourself versus someone else, because the way they view the game potentially in the lines of plays they may choose to make may not be the same as yours, so therefore they're going to create different interactions. But seeing just how you would play the decks, it gives you insight to how the decks would perform based on your play style potentially. Now, this was interesting because I'm playing this against myself. So I put it against the deck that is on the opposite side of the deck this came from, and then it takes effect. And I found at first it was a little annoying, but the truth is I embraced the card. I embraced the curse. And then what I found out was this curse is amazing as the player who it was put upon, because you stop thinking about handcrafting and it's literally what do you need to do the most of, and you get rid of your hand afterwards and draw more cards. So you're going through your deck faster, which means you actually get haunted faster. And I know some of you are like, oh, well, if you're getting haunted faster, doesn't that also mean that you're becoming unhaunted faster because of the fact that the deck's going to flip quicker? Yes, but the truth is you're going at such a high speed that it's probably only at most 2 turns where you're not haunted, basically. So I also liked it for digging for things when you're trying to find things. I found it so interesting. And then it works really well if you happen to have a house that's maybe not your most ideal house. It's actually not clogging your hand because you just discard the whole house, get back into what you want, and keep going. It's something really cool. It's gotten to the point where I'm thinking of ways, how can I actually pull this back? Like if I give this to my opponent, I think there's certain decks where you want it back. And of course there's a Garoku Swapper, which is I think one of the worst cards in the game because it's a 3 power, 3 armor creature that has a play and after fight effect that is take control of an enemy artifact and give them control of Garoku Swapper. The 3 armor part really I think is unnecessary. I think if you just made it 3 power it would have been good, or even 1 armor, but it means that it's going to get another use most likely to do a swap. So you could take this back, and it's also Equidon, so they're both Equidon. That's why I said this. There's also exchange currency or uncommon currency, that one, which allows you to swap control of that and this. So I kind of want this back because I think there's really interesting ways to play it, which is weird because a curse is something you're supposed to give to your opponent and it's supposed to have a negative effect on them. But the truth is I found this to be a positive curse, and I actually like this. Like I would like a card that you could actually say to yourself, do you want to make it so that at the start of your draw step you get to discard your hand because it makes you play the game differently. I don't consider this a curse. I think it would have been better if it said also draw one less card. Like, I think that would have been needed to truly make this so it's like they permanently have a chain as well as are getting rid of. I think that's a little bit more potent, or even just having the curse be like you draw less cards at your draw step is the curse. I think this one is, I mean, maybe that's the point though. Maybe the idea is it's disruptive to your opponent if they don't know how to play it, which is true. Like I've played this, like I said, I had a couple of them, so I had the experience of playing it, and I was like, wow, I actually like this as the player with the curse. So it made me just want to have a discussion about this and throw this out there. Has anyone else had experience with this? How have you felt? Now let's go on to the out of set. Now this is where I think this card will truly shine, is in the world of Archon, where people have decks that do not have cards that they really, or houses that they really don't care about. Like every house is going to be significant, and you're waiting for things to happen. You're building those combos. It's going to be very disruptive against combo decks. That's the truth about this, is I think this could really disrupt combo decks. You can't wait for things. Archiving will be that much more important because this will disrupt anything else you're trying to do. So I think this card could see more value as a curse and being given to your opponent once it hits the Archon realm and they are getting to not handcraft it. But again, you just have to figure out, okay, I'm going to let that go. I'm going to cycle faster and get what I need. There's still always that aspect to it. And I think a truly strong player will learn how to just embrace this and keep rolling with the punches. And as a result, get to see more cards in their deck and get to what they want more. It's really interesting. I think I find this card to be, at first I thought it was bad, and then I realized, no, it's not bad. It just doesn't operate maybe the way you think it should, but it does operate in different ways, which are really interesting. I would still love to pull this back. Like I want a Legacy Maverick Boro to give this, pull it back. Anything like that, I think it provides some really interesting playing. In Sealed, I think this, if you could get a pack for yourself for Sealed, that'd be epic. But it also is, if someone doesn't know their deck very well, this will also cause problems and they won't know how to react the same way. But as I said, I think this curse is not a bad curse. I just think it's really interesting, and I want it I want to curse myself. I wish you could do that. I don't even know if that's possible, but I would love to curse myself with this, because I think it provides some really interesting play decisions and it disrupts the way you play Keyforge. So if you have this, I recommend you playing it in a Goldfish game so that you can see the effect the card has on you as the player having to pilot a deck that has this on, rather than just playing against someone else and not seeing how it works. Because it's really interesting. Again, let me know your thoughts on this curse in particularly, because it's really interesting. It does some cool things, but you need to experience being the person who's been cursed by this to see what I'm talking about here, and let me know your thoughts. But again, I think it is not great in Grim Reminders because of Haunted and the way there's some cards you maybe don't want. I don't think it's great in Sealed because at the end of the day, you just roll with what you have and keep going. But it could be, if you're not really familiar, working that way. But I think when you get to Archon, this could be really powerful and disrupt combo decks. This would be, I think, really unbeneficial for Genka. I mean, there's always the side of it where you're disrupting, but then they may not have it, so you're actually letting them dig faster to get the things. There's always that side of anything. But I don't know. I just think this is a really interesting card. Like, I thought it was bad, and now I don't. I think it's just got more complexity and more thoughts to it, and has more diversity and deck by deck matchups where you're going to want to utilize this card more. So please let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And as always, may your Ember never be stolen and your keys forged properly. Have a good one.